from the Anna Hour Sports Show. This is episode 841, joined by a really special guest. His name is Ty Buttrey. He's a former MLB pitcher, relief pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels. Now he does some entrepreneur work off the field and doing big things off the field. And obviously, I'm joined by my co-host, Vedant from Global Kid Media. It's truly an honor to have you on the show today, Ty. How are you and your family doing?
I appreciate you guys having me. Sorry with a little bit of a mix-up yesterday. Sorry if I sound a little raspy voice right now. I stayed up late. We had a hurricane watch party for the first time. So my wife and I had some drinks, and we were waiting for this hurricane to come. Fortunately, it didn't really hit. It like split St. Pete, but
Okay.
I was supposed to get up sorry, I got some in my mouth. I was supposed to get up pretty early this morning, and so I'm glad we could, link up at 12 o'clock today.
Yeah, where in Florida you're in?
I'm in the Tampa area.
Okay, yeah, I'm traveling to Florida tomorrow to Orlando, so hopefully it doesn't affect my flight.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm pretty close to Tampa. I'm actually like right out the outskirts of St. Pete, but I mean it's all the same. But that's cool.
Yeah, so
let me ask you this. First of all, the Stanley Cup is going on, obviously, and Tampa is doing really well. Are you planning to go out to any games if it comes back?
So here's the deal. I respectfully say this, that I could care less to watch any sporting event. I haven't really even watched a baseball game since I stepped away, but like, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for them. Everyone's partying, having fun. Like, I'm good, man. I don't know why I've never really found sporting events like really entertaining.
Wow. Yeah, so I want to start off with your childhood growing up, and you had an interesting career and obviously an inspiring story. So for you, while growing up as a child, and when did you get interested in playing sports? And before deciding on baseball, did you get to play any other sports? And who was that role model that you had in the sports industry?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because obviously, I sit here and say I don't like going to sporting events, and then I ended up playing in the MLB. So it's kind of, like what's going on. I mean, I say that, but I had a great time, playing sports, with my community, my friends, playing baseball with my dad. My dad was a huge role model of mine growing up. He played the low level of professional baseball with the Phillies. So, baseball was always there. It was always an avenue. I mean, I made sure that my dad made sure, my mom made sure that, I was playing soccer, basketball, football. I mean, I played all sports up until middle school, and then I stuck with just football and baseball. And then once I went to high school, I stuck with really athletic and big. And then everyone kind of caught up to me. And then I started getting my height, started losing my coordination a little bit, but was still able to kind of hit a baseball pretty far and throw a baseball hard. So, I gravitated towards baseball kind of my whole life, but it was always there. And I was always a active kid with practice and working hard. I could say I played a lot of Halo 2 and RuneScape, probably more so than baseball. So that was definitely my passion.
Wow.
Did you watch the game as a kid? Did you watch the MLB? Did you have anyone who you looked up to, or was it kind of like just kind of played for fun and didn't really watch at that age either?
My dad would always tell me to watch baseball. He's like, Ty, you need to start watching baseball. You need to start learning the game. Because I would just practice. I wouldn't watch it. I could have cared less to go to like minor league games. He probably thought that was a little odd. I mean, I just was like, I don't really care to watch it. Like, I'm good at it, but I don't want to watch it. So, but with that being said, I mean, my family, they were big Tigers fans growing up. So like I got into baseball cards. That baseball cards kind of kept me, collecting kind of kept me into the game, and it made me watch some players and stuff, which was cool. But like Joe Zamaya was the guy I looked up to. Justin Verlander was another guy, obviously looking up to. Curtis Granderson's one of my favorite players. So like, I had a passion for, the Tigers, but man, that was the only MLB game I've ever went to before I got drafted, was a Tigers game. So if that answers your question.
Interesting. So I want to ask you, obviously, for you, for pitchers, I'm just curious. How do so when you guys come up with your delivery and when you guys choose your delivery, the one you want to go with throughout your career, what's the process to that? And I'm just curious because, like for example, you just mentioned Justin Verlander. Look at his success record, track record, and all these other pitchers. How do you guys pinpoint and focus on your delivery every fifth day or every time whenever you pitch? How do you guys do that?
That's a pretty aware question, man. Like that's actually such a good point. I don't think for me, my delivery changed multiple times. When I was in high school, I was a little bit more of a drop and drive pitcher. I used more of my legs, and then I had a little bit of a back issue 2 years into Boston, and it kind of stiffened me up a little bit. And I started being more tall and using my angle and my leverage. And so like my mechanics definitely changed unwilling, like not wasn't really trying to change them. And that was kind of one of my biggest issues with playing was, it was so hard for me to keep consistent mechanics. I don't know if it's because core strength, I think, goes into it. I think if somebody has a ton of core strength, it's easier to repeat your delivery. But, going into how do guys find a delivery that works for them and, what do they do? I think it just, you're starting to see driveline baseball kind of come up with, these super powerful positions and being able to streamline them and teach the kids, what's the most optimal position to be in to throw a baseball the hardest you can. And it was pretty cool going up to see them. And there's some similar characteristics. I think pitching in the, 20 years ago, there used to be like a cookie cutter way. And now it kind of seems like it got away from that. Now we're maybe getting back into that a little bit. But I just think guys want to throw hard. So like that's how I found my delivery is I wanted to throw as hard as I possibly could. So if that meant getting a huge leg kick, using all my leverage I could, just however you could think about, if you were to get on the mound right now and you were to try to throw a baseball as hard as you could, like when my velo started dipping and I was like 90, 92 in the minor leagues,
Right.
I was like, Ty, you have to get more athletic. You just have to be more aggressive. And like that delivery is ultimately what led me into having my delivery that got more refined in the MLB. I know that's a long question or long answer, but
Yeah.
a lot to that.
Yeah.
I got a two-part question for you. First of all, you mentioned you had a little bit of a football background in middle school, and when you were younger, what position did you play? Was it quarterback?
No, I wish I would have, man. I really wish I would have. I love being a leader. I love like being the face of like a group and trying to help and like, motivate people. I was always a quiet kid growing up, so that was kind of like the one reason why I don't think my dad put me in as a quarterback. But no, I played get this, I actually played left tackle. My first position was in first time playing football was fourth grade, and I went against a guy named Prince Shimbo, who actually went to Notre Dame. He played, I think, with the Falcons for a little bit, and he was the D tackle and I was the left guard, and I was a skinny, tall kid, and they put me on the line because I was tall, and that sucked. That was a bad football experience, but then I kind of grew into my body a little bit. I started getting fast. My dad made his own team, and then I became like the fullback, running back, and then I played defensive end. And so like defensive end was like my position. Like that was one of the like most entertaining things I've ever done. It's an intense thing, but no, I never played quarterback, man. I can't even, if you guys saw me throw a football right now, it's pretty embarrassing. Like I literally just throw it like long armed, like just like I would a baseball. It doesn't work.
So the reason I ask is because one of the questions that I asked to Patrick Mahomes, who obviously has a baseball background, was about him sidearming in the game a lot. So I was just kind of curious if you have ever thrown and that's something that you see.
Yeah, no, I wish I could throw like that, dude, man. I like that short arm action. Like that's what you're starting to see. Like guys are getting that short arm action and pitchers now, and like those guys probably can throw a football way farther than I can.
Yeah, so I want to ask you before we get to your draft experience, what were the main things that you learned in college from your coaching staff, your pitching coach, that got to where you're at right now, which was in the majors before? And just explain to me, what did you learn in college, the main things?
Well, I was drafted out of high school. I was going to go to college at Arkansas, and that was a great. Those guys there, man, were awesome. Like Coach Jordan was the pitching coach there, and like he was a pretty cool guy when I went on my visit. But honestly, like I learned everything, man. Like I learned a lot from my dad, like initially growing up, and then as I got older, I started learning more from. I had a kind of another coach named Dave Heath who taught me a lot about pitching. And then I learned from my high school coach, Danny Hignite, was one of the most influential people in my baseball career. And then after that, man, it was the minor leagues, six, seven different coaches, they did a good job. Boston, it just was, sometimes there was different messages and you're trying to decipher as a young kid, what works, why aren't I throwing hard? Why does my curveball suck? Should I listen to this coach? This coach said this, this player said this. And so to be honest, for me, man, it was trial and error. I worked my ass off in the minor leagues. I mean, I was always in my hotel room trying to do dry work, trying to figure out my delivery, trying to get timed up. And I was relentless about it. I just didn't ever give in until it felt right. And so the best advice I got was when I started learning about the mental side of the game. And Boston did a really good job of including that into 2012 was the first time they introduced the mental side, journaling, tracking your progress, being, controlling what you can control, just being like, that's what I realized was a separator. And I didn't have that at all. Like I had all the physical ability, but the mental side of my game was so weak. And ultimately that's where I'm at now, is why I'm jumping in cold tubs and doing this, crazy thing I've been doing on my Instagram for the last 79 days because of the mental side and what it's taught me.
Interesting.
So as a young player that comes into the league like that, like no college experience, you are learning on the fly. That's kind of been the theme of your career, is just learning things on the fly. As far as now, being a little bit removed from the game, this comes down to real life. What have those kind of on the fly experiences taught you, and how have they helped you in the real world?
Yeah, great question. They it taught me to be aggressive, taught me to be myself, to be confident. You guys got to understand, like I've never really, the real world for me is you guys are way more experienced in this path than I am. I mean, I've been at a baseball field, I've been at a baseball field for the last 9 years, over 200 days, including spring trainings, and then training 4 to 5 days, 6 days a week for the last, 9 years. And then high school, my high school coach was pretty demanding, and that was pretty much all year round too. So, I guess, how have I learned on the fly? It's just, I try to apply similar principles. Like, if I don't have, like, for instance, I was trying to put together, I'm coming up with this business idea, and I'm literally trying to sit there and say, okay, how do I even start this? Like, what do I do? Like, well, you jump in, you figure it out. That's what I did with baseball. Like you jump in, you figure it out, you start writing stuff down, try not to be perfect. When you try to be perfect with your mechanics or pitching, you're ultimately like, you're going to be disappointed. If I'm trying to be perfect with my notes and reading these YouTube, listening to these YouTube videos, I try to, like, in my head, I want it to be done so well. And like, that's what I'm starting to realize is like being able to adjust on the fly, being able to say sorry, being able to, be open-minded to different points of view. Something that's how sports taught me is, it really opened my mind with, I've played with so many different cultures and perspectives. And that's kind of how I feel like, this entrepreneurship world that I'm jumping into with my wife it's, there's really no clear-cut path. It's just, you form it how you want to. I guess that's kind of my answer.
So getting to your Angels career, what was the experience like playing in the West Coast? Obviously competing against Houston, Texas, Oakland, and then you guys have yourself, and playing with players like Mike Trout. You guys had a lot of great talented players on that team. So what was the experience like in LA?
Unbelievable. playing in the West Coast, I would have never in a million years thought that's where my MLB career would have taken me. I always had a lot of love for the Angels growing up. They were always like one of my top 3 favorite teams. And dude, playing, I spent 5.5 years in the minor leagues on the East Coast doing that grind. And then when I got called over, and I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, it was the first time I ever stepped foot really in the West Coast. And then being out in Arizona for spring training versus Florida, seeing Mike Trout, seeing Albert Pujols, seeing, Justin Upton. If I was a little bit younger, I think I would have been a little bit more starstruck. But at that time, I was 25, 26. I've seen a lot of badass players. And for me, it was still, I was still starstruck. I was like, all right, man, this is the show. You're in a big market team. They really value you, and, go out there and do what you can do. Like, they traded for you, make them proud. That was kind of my mindset, which ultimately led me to the decision I'm at, is making other people proud. But, that's kind of how I wanted to play for the fans. I wanted to play for Trout, Pujols. I wanted to help these veterans win a World Series. Yeah.
So like, what goes to your mind though as a pitcher when you come into the game, whether if you guys are down by how many, like 2 or 3 runs, or up by 2 or 3, what's it like just to go there, say to your mind, all you have to do is get 3 outs and then leave it to the offense?
It's nice. There was, I was in some high pressure situations. That's really, pretty much every situation I was in a high pressure situation, whether it's coming in and putting out a fire in the 5th or 6th inning, the closing that I did a little bit in 18 and then 19, and then being a setup man in 2019, 3 outs was always like, that was my goal. I usually did a lot of 1 1/3 too. But I took it. Man, if I could put you to try to explain what was going through my head running into the field, for me, I was always trying to flip a switch, because that's how I had my best stuff. When I was kind of passive and I wasn't being myself, like, I had to put myself in this mode in order to get, myself going. And it was hard to do that. It didn't come naturally for me. I would always rely on a lot of emotion to get myself going versus just being able to focus and, turn it on and off. So, Red Bulls, sprinting in, throwing the ball as hard as I can in warm-ups, trying to just get some aggression going so I can, because when I was aggressive, nobody could beat me in the league. And so when I was passive, everyone could beat me. So I was just always searching for that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, the relationships that you build with these players while you're in the league. And then eventually you make that decision to step away. How important were those relationships, having brothers on the team to be able to support you through that move? Because that is a hard move when you kind of make it to the top.
Wow. Yeah. That was one of the hardest things I've probably done. That was ultimately why I didn't really have that. I started having this feeling that I wanted to leave, and at the end of 2020, actually the middle of the 2020 season, I just noticed something was different. And I think the lack of fans and everything, COVID protocol, not saying I'm not going down the political side of it, just being able to told you have to go here, you have to do this, you have to say this. I started losing interest in it, especially when the fans left. But this year, man, I just got to such a tipping point that I didn't even think about that. Looking back and right now, I'm like, man, those are some good dudes and awesome relationships that, we were teammates, and I was closer with some of those guys than just teammates. We were buddies and we were brothers. And so when you leave when I left, I think it could be viewed as turning my back on them. But at the same time, it's listen, if I'm not happy, if I'm not putting my family first, my wife, then ultimately it doesn't matter. I love you guys. I love everyone. But like ultimately, if I'm not happy, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to play this game for other people any longer. And that's kind of how I felt. It's like all this personal growth stuff that I've done, all this, this mental side of the game, it ultimately led, like, the more the mental side and the more awareness and, training and things I did, the more I realized what was important and what wasn't. So it was hard, but it was also like the right decision.
Hmm. Yeah, obviously you retired this year, 2021, and just take me back to the process. Obviously, when did you start losing interest? And obviously, like you said, with the fans not being there, but just take me back to
Yeah.
what was the reasoning behind it? And obviously, I have your post pulled up here saying I made the decision to leave baseball. I contacted the Angels to ask for some time to think, and they gave you that opportunity to think, and you came back to them eventually, said leaving for personal reasons. But
Mhm.
was there another aspect to that, or was it only just for personal reasons?
It was just, I woke up one morning and it was in spring training, and I started just getting this really, oh my gosh, my cat, hold on. I just started like not wanting to be at the field. I was so excited for spring training this year, and I walked in and I just felt a different type of energy and kind of vibe throughout camp and throughout how baseball was at the time. I realized there was still no fans. I realized we were still kind of in a lockdown state. And then I just started asking my question. I'm like, how come every single time you go out on that field, you dread wanting to warm up? Like, it's not even nerves. It's like a deep anxiety. Like, don't go, don't want to do it, don't want to do it. And that feeling, I've had that feeling for ever since baseball started. Back in junior, probably senior year, when it started getting money involved, and the game aspect started kind of being less and less, and it's more about look at me, look how hard I throw, I want $1 million. Look at me, I can go up to AA, I can go up to AAA. Now we're in the big leagues, and now we're going for contracts and stuff. And that was always my drive, was doing it for money and doing it for other people to make them happy. And not once was it for me to say, I want to become an all-star, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I literally, one of the first times I told my mental skills coach was, I was like, I want to win the World Series for someone else. Like, I want to help the veterans win it. And so you take kind of, these deep thoughts and, the way I am into the 2021 season. And I just woke up and I told my wife one day, I was like, Sam, I'm messed up. I don't know what it is. I was like, no part of me wants to go to that field and throw. No part of me wants to sit in another clubhouse for 10 hours, wait around, come home, and just do it 162 times. I'm like, I'm 28. I have such a passion for business and figuring out new things with my wife. And that was ultimately something I always had going, was I always wanted to do like real estate on the side. I mean, I was always studying back in AA. Went back and took a year's worth of my college education. I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to have a side business, create some passive income. And then I started getting into some crypto and learning that. And then my wife started doing YouTube videos on behind the lights. And I loved that. I was definitely afraid to get in front of a camera. And I started loving the social media side. We started a business called Drip Social in the off season in 2020. Ultimately, we had a big team. We were working together, creating creating content for personal brands and athletes and stuff. And it kind of disbanded. And like when that disbanded, and because I used like all these other side avenues to like keep me going with baseball. And then finally, when I realized I just have baseball, I didn't want to do it, so I was like, okay, this is the right decision. Clearly, if I'm dreading going to the field this bad, this isn't stuff like this has been here for 9 years. Like this should not be the way, this is not how it should be.
Man, much respect to you, man. That's some deep stuff right there.
Yeah, sorry, I get deep sometimes. Sorry.
Well,
Thank you.
I like that. We love inspiring stories, and you guys and have that, and you and your wife, man, the business you're building now is going to grow even more. So
Exactly. Yeah, it is. We're just gonna keep plugging away, figuring it out. It's awesome. I love doing it with her.
Absolutely, and I think you're kind of setting the stage for other players out there who feel like that maybe, and they didn't know it was possible, and you're kind of setting that stage. I want to know, do you have any aspirations to get back involved with the sport at any point, even if that doesn't mean playing, whether that means making partnerships with a business at some point with the MLB or doing something on the business side with them, or even potentially getting back in uniform?
I thought of it. I've had one moment since I've been away where I was like, would I want to go back? And it's been pretty, I mean, guys, like I'm not trying to say this to throw shade or anything. I just still have no desire to want to go and play anymore. Like I do not miss playing catch. I do not miss working out. I do not miss I mean I'm still healthy and active, but like there's like I feel nothing. Like when I think of it, like I literally feel nothing. Like there's no, I miss the team. I miss seeing like when I see the Angels, see Otani hitting home runs and I see the fans full, I'm like, dang, like I love seeing the fans scream. Like that was ultimately like what kept me playing for so long.
yeah,
But man, if I go back, um, I'm always going to know how to throw a baseball really hard. I'm always going to have one of the best changeups in the game. I'm always going to have kind of an awkward slider that I can throw for a strike if I need to. But like, it's going to take me some time to get back, man. But like, maybe, I'm 28, so build some stuff with my wife, enjoy, some summers, enjoy some vacation, enjoy some time seeing my family. Yeah, maybe when I'm 34, 35, I mean, look at Daniel Barr, the guy, the guy's back at 37, I think 38, took all that time, figuring some stuff out. And now he's the closer and he's doing great. So it's like, I don't have any intentions in the next couple of years to go back. I just don't, man. I would be lying to myself. I'd be doing it for other people if I did.
yeah, it seems like Dana Boer found his stuff again. This guy is nasty when it comes to pitching, man.
Unbelievable.
I'm a Yankee fan. I remember him in his Boston days. I used to hate facing him
Yeah.
when the
He was
Yankees.
a stud. He was a stud. He was so good.
Yeah. So now looking back at your career, obviously now you guys are doing entrepreneur work and having a business. So, but looking back, just how grateful are you to be in this position, just to play the game that you loved, and I was obviously your father pushed you to do it, and you got your goal, played in the majors, and had a great career too. And like, how grateful are you to be in this position, just to have a business and working on other things and overcoming obstacles in your career.
Oh man, I'm extremely grateful. My dad, I wouldn't say my dad pushed me. He pushed me in everything. He pushed me in life. His saying was, whatever you're gonna do, just do it with the best of your ability. I was a tall, strong kid. Baseball was easy for me. So he guided me towards that. He knew a lot about baseball. And I'm glad, I'm extremely grateful. Looking back, like I know I joked around, saying playing Halo 2 and playing RuneScape, but like, dude, like the things I've learned with baseball and the opportunity, it's given me. I mean, I've worked my absolute ass off my whole life. I mean, I've worked extremely hard. So like, I'm not trying to say I'm owed anything, but like, I put a lot of time in. I sacrificed a lot of years and friendships and parties and, dedicating my time to get better. And so to me, um, I'm just happy that I got to play in the MLB. I got to show that I was proof to myself that I could be one of the best, in 2019, that's my glory days. Like 2018, but like, it was cool to say, hey, look, like I can perform with the best of the best. Like I got some of the best stuff in the MLB. Like that was cool. But ultimately, like that's where it was, in 2019, when I was doing extremely well for the first 3 months, I just remember like not feeling, I was like, why don't I feel excited? Why am I staring at the clock wanting this game to get over with? Why am I not in this game more so? it's just stuff like that, man. Like, and I will say, like, I never enjoyed pitching as much as I did hitting and playing. Like, to me, there's two sides of it, like baseball. It's two sports. Like, think about it. Like, one, you're throwing a ball that's like, you're pitching. The other side is you're hitting, you're stealing signs, you're diving, you're in the dugout, you're yelling, you're hitting home runs, like you're robbing, throwing guys out at home plate. Like, I played right field my whole life and center field. And like, I was never a big fan of pitching growing up. Like, even in middle school and like high school, like I loved playing the game of baseball, but like I was so big and I could throw so hard. And when a team offers you a lot of money as a high schooler, it's pretty hard to pass up on that. And so like looking back, if I could redo it, I know you're asking about like being grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity, but like, I think if I would have spent more time as a hitter and playing the game, I think I would have found a deeper passion for it for sure.
What's next for you? What are your next big aspirations, both with your business, and is there something else you want to do? Do you want to, explore a new hobby?
Entrepreneurship is, I would say that's my hobby ever since I was young. 4 or 5 years old, I remember just like loving the game of Monopoly, not like in a controlling way, just like the idea that you can like build something, you can create like a passive income, you can help change people's lives, you can do things differently, you're known for more than just an athlete. I want to get into social media with my wife. I want to create a lifestyle brand that's centered around like our passions. And I want to like document the growth of that over years. I'm not an expert. You guys are way more probably tech savvy and social media savvy than I am. The way I learn is I throw myself in there and I figure it out. So we've actually kind of turned our house into, it's called the content house. Our rooms we got some crazy like pictures and some crazy graffiti in our house. So we're going to be shooting like we're going to be doing like a show that we have planned, it's called like Live with Ty and Sam. We have some like pre-recorded segments we're going to be doing through IG Live. We're actually writing more content out today, doing some reviews. And then we want to kind of get into like, just kind of building like a lifestyle brand, that inspires people to be themselves, to follow true passion, working hard, like ultimately, like that's kind of what it is. So yeah, that's kind of just jumping into this social media, this content space.
Did want to mention, always my whole message is that you can do anything at a young age. Anyone, if they set their mind to something, can do it. And it's great to see you kind of proving that in the entrepreneurship space that anyone can do it if you have the passion for it.
Completely agree with that. I mean, it's going to take failure. You're going to mess up. You're going to look like an idiot. Your friends aren't going to like you. Your parents may get mad at you, but it's like, who cares? Like if you apply consistent action towards something you love daily, you'll find a way to figure it out. Like if you're applying consistent action to something you don't like, then it's going to create anxiety. It's going to create what the heck? Sorry, my cats, man, they're like freaking savages over there. If you apply like consistent action to things you don't like that's when I think you create anxiety. That's when I think resentment happens. You start getting distance with your, wife or your family. But like you said, man, like I truly feel, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but like if I wanted to train to be a doctor right now, like if I truly wanted to be a doctor, or if I truly wanted to be an astronaut, or if I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, like, and that was my true passion. I believe, and I've always believed in myself 100% that like, why not? Like, why can't I do that? Like, who's gonna like, sure, I may try it. I may say, wow, you're actually not that smart. Like, you can't do that. Or like, maybe I read more books, but like the only way I'm going to find out is if I try. And so like, when I see like that, I talked about that teacher, like when people literally will sit there and say, no, like that's too hard. Like, like that, like that's the biggest BS I've ever heard in my life, man. It's such BS. It's not true at all.
Wow.
In my opinion, of course.
So before we get to this, we do this fun little segment on the show. It's called the Rapid Fire segment. But before we get to that, we wanted to ask you yesterday, if you came on yesterday, we wanted to ask you about the Sha'Carri Richardson story. If you heard about it, that she's the runner. She was supposed to be in the Olympics, but now she's stepping away because of what happened with the weed situation. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you think they did a great? I mean, obviously, I always say this: Olympics are the one in the lifetime opportunity to be a part of. And
Mhm.
in my opinion, I know what she did wrong, but she owned up to it. I think they should give her another chance. What are your thoughts on this?
Um, I think that, marijuana is obviously a very there's extreme points of view on both sides, and I think right now there's not really a middle ground on it. I think it's, athletes, everyone knows, athletes, everyone partakes in it, not everybody, but like, to me it's a personal decision. To me, if it's not a performance enhancing drug, it was banned obviously, and there's feelings that go with that, man, but like, she owned up to it. I don't necessarily think somebody that I think when somebody comes out and says this is, it is what it is, like, let's move on from it. I just think that when you start getting into somebody's personal life, and you start exposing that by saying like, this isn't right, they shouldn't do this. I think it's like, I can point the finger at you and you can point the finger back at me with 100 different things. And so to me, she can do what she wants. I mean, it's 2021, I know there's definitely some negative connotations that goes with that, but like, at the same time, man, like, she's not cheating. She's not, she's not taking steroids. If that's where we're focusing attention on, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I try not, to me, it's just, what if that's what she wants to do? It's up to parents, and I think it's up to everyone else to, obviously there's negative things that come along with that. Something that can be mind altering, can be a little weird, but listen, she's an athlete. Let her do her thing. As long as she's not cheating, as long as she's not putting herself in a higher advantage than other athletes, and it's an even playing field. That's kind of my answer. Last time I checked, I don't think marijuana makes somebody become a super athlete or makes it throw stronger or harder. So that's all I got on that.
Yeah. So you ready for this rapid fire segment?
Let's do it.
All right, Vedant, you want to go first?
All right, my turn first. Let's see. Favorite city you've ever played in?
Favorite city? Gonna have to say San Diego.
So, what are your thoughts on Shohei Ohtani, man? This is one of I can't believe what he's doing. He's making history. He's the first player to be in the All-Star game as a hitter and a pitcher at the same time. What are your thoughts on him, man? This is like a generational talent. The most talented player I've ever seen.
It's stupid. I don't even know how to. I mean, literally, if I could, like, that's how I think all of us as a young kid, we all thought we could be two-way players, and I definitely thought I could be a two-way player. And then to see what he's doing, it's he's a freak, man. He's dedicated to his craft. From when I was on the team, I'm obviously speaking from the peanut gallery now, but he's intense. He's he's extremely focused on what he wants to do. He's able to go into like a laser focus and just do what he wants. He loves the game, man. I love seeing, he's got so much passion when he plays, and like, that's cool to see, because there's so many guys in the big leagues that have that pure passion, that just love the game and they love the fans. Him hitting home runs and going out and also being one of the top pitchers. I mean, it's like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't know how a human being does that, but he does it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
Hibachi. Yeah, Japanese hibachi. My favorite food.
So who are some of the teammates that you keep in contact with still after your retirement? And who reached out to you guys? I mean, who reached out to you when you announced that retirement?
I try not to, I had some close friends that reached out to me. And that's like more personal. Like I try not to, you guys got to understand, like I left, they have a season to win. And I have respect for every single one of those guys. There's some players that reached out and said, thanks for everything, man. It was a blast. I had a lot of good friends in 2019, and we had a kind of a new team this year. So I only got to really know some guys for a month. We had pretty much a whole new coaching staff, a whole new team. But people reached out, staff members reached out, said, Ty, thank you. I mean, the letter I wrote was pretty set in stone that, okay, he's pretty serious about walking away. So I don't think people were going to try to convince me. I mean, it was at that point when I said that letter, it was, here's what I got to say.
Let's see, if you could go anywhere with your business right now, one place you wanted to visit, to pitch it, or just to kind of go on a vacation, what would it be?
Well, I'm in the works of a new business idea. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to give anyone the idea, but I would love to go on Shark Tank eventually. I would love to go to Dubai. I think that'd be awesome. Man, I haven't even thought about where I would want to pitch it. I guess because it's so raw and so rough right now. Like, I guess trying to pitch it just to, get my house organized. I'm looking around right now. I'm like, I can't pitch anything unless I know where my shorts and my pants are on a daily basis, and, cleaning up after myself. So I think maybe in a year, I don't know. Like, I would love to go on Shark Tank. I think I have a great idea, but
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll see.
Pitching your idea to Mark Cuban. That's always the goal.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So we have a question. We wanted to know, actually, do you know the pitcher who came out of the dugout with a lot of energy, even though the team was losing bad?
Who was that?
We're trying to figure it out too. I don't know.
Yeah.
For the Angels?
Angels, right? No,
Who is this?
It was like last week. It was all over Sports Center. A pitcher came out of his dugout. They were losing really bad, and he ran onto the field. And he wasn't a pitcher. He played a different position, and then he was just like kind of lobbing them in at 40 miles per hour.
Oh, dude. Man, I don't. I think I saw that on Instagram a little bit. I literally I really don't watch any sports. Like, I don't even, maybe, I'm sure I saw it, but that's funny. I mean, that sounds pretty funny. I'm glad he had some passion with it. He had fun.
Yeah. So for you, what was your most memorable game that you played in?
Most memorable game had to been the Tyler Skaggs no-hitter game with when Taylor Cole and Felix Pena threw that combined no-hitter. At first I was going to say my first game in the big leagues, kind of cliche, but I've never been a part of anything as special as that. I don't think I'll ever be as part of something as special as that. I mean, for what happened to him, and then, our first home game back, the numbers on the scoreboard, there was just so much stuff that happened that's how did we do this? Man, it was the first time I've ever cried on a baseball field. First time I've ever cried probably in a long time. And I never cry. I'm not saying I'm a tough dude or something. There was so much emotion on that game. And that's by hands down one of the most special moments I think I'll ever be a part of.
Yeah, speaking of Skaggs, what was he like as a team? Obviously, just a horrible tragedy, and rest in peace to him and his family, prayers to his family. But what was he like as a teammate? Obviously, you witnessed his no-hitter, but what was he like in the clubhouse?
A leader. I loved him. I try not to speak too much on him because, I want to respect his family. But to me, he was a guy, he always treated me with respect. He never treated anyone below him at all. I was a young, dumb rookie, and there was many opportunities he could have jumped my ass and called me out, but he didn't. and he just was a person that was himself. He owned who he was, and I respect people that are able to go out there and be their true self. I really do. I think if the whole world was able to go out there and be their true self and not have to put on this facade or this thing that we do when we get out in public and social events, like if people could just cut the BS and just, who are you? Like, let me get to know you right off the bat. Like, be open, but you obviously have people out there that manipulate that. So when I see people that can do what he does and what he did, it's really cool.
No doubt about it. Those are the leaders that everyone remembers. I have a kind of a lighter question here. Has there ever been any pranks that you remember in the dugout?
Yeah, like the chewing gum on the hat. That was always a common one. Sticking, like connecting things to guys' pockets when they go by. I never saw the flame one. The flame on the bottom of the shoe or the spike.
Right.
You gotta understand, like I was always, most of my minor league career was spent in a bullpen, or most of my big league career was spent in a bullpen. And then minor leagues, 4 years of it was as a starter, and 4 games, I was always, 4 out of 5 days, I was always in the stands charting. So I like spent very little time in the club or in the dugout. Like growing up, like the dugout was the best, man. Like that was like, I love the dugout, but pitchers don't really get that benefit. We're outcasted in the bullpen or in the stand. So it's, is what it is.
So I got to ask you, my friend Matt Dice, he plays for the Angels right now. I don't know.
He's a great dude.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on my friend? Because I went to the same high school as him, Jackson Memorial here in New Jersey, and
No way.
yeah, ever since when I saw him, and then we became friends in high school, and the first time I saw him hit, man, this guy's gonna be in the majors one day. This guy, all he can do is hit, hit, hit. So when you were playing with him in the minors, or in the majors too, what are your thoughts on my friend?
I love Dice, man. He's he's himself. He doesn't care. He's a grinder. He shows up. He does his work. He works his ass off. He's passionate. He's got a great swing. I think he's got a really cool swing. Him and I always had like very casual conversation, like, but we always like just respected each other. But just an authentic dude, man. Like just a person, no BS. Like, there's no games. It's just he's who himself. And people, like I said, people that are able to be themselves and to just be like, this is who I am, is what it is. I respect those guys so much.
I gotta ask you, because I we talked about the business side a little bit. Say you were to come up with a new team, you had to make a name, you had to create a logo, everything like that. What would that look like? What would you name that team? If you could describe what the logo would look like, because that's just an interesting, creative question that sometimes people have some unique answers to.
If I could create a team, if I could, like a sport, like a baseball team or just a sports team?
Any sports team. It could be baseball, it could be whatever sport you want.
It'd be called Drip. And their logos would be super retro neon look, and they would have like this, like they'd have like all this swagger. Like they would be cool. Like they would be a swaggy team. They'd have the best jerseys. It would say Drip on the front, and then it'd have their number on the back. I don't know. That's literally part of my business that I'm doing. So that's the first name that came to me. So I don't know. Drip. It's not really, you gotta have like something other than that. I don't know, man. I've never been asked that question. That's just like what my wife and I are working on right now. It's, that's kind of our social media business. It's called like Drip Social. So Drip Sports, Drip this, Drip. You got me, man. I don't know that. I don't like that name. That doesn't make sense now that I think about it.
I feel like with a nice logo would go good.
Oh, we got a really cool logo. I got a cool logo for you. I'd show you on my phone, but my wife does. Sam's not here right now. She's got it.
Hmm. So the last few things here before we let it go, our team is part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. We're trying to help him prevent. He's a former NFL coach. He's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking and making sure the community stays
Awesome.
and the kids stay safe. So I'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out, and your wife can check it out.
Yeah, please do. Thank you. Seriously, that's a great. I love that you guys are supporting that. That's unbelievable. The fact that mainstream isn't talking about that right now is a joke. Why are we not talking about more human trafficking?
Yeah, we need to stop this in somehow, in some way, because it's still horrible out there what I'm seeing, and we're just grateful to be part of his foundation, and we're trying to help in a big way. So, and the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Absolutely. I think they are doing a great job. I think they've been through hell, and I would like to also say for all the stay-at-home moms out there that have had to have kids, at their house 24/7, people that don't get the credit they deserve ultimately need to get the credit, especially during COVID. And they have been at the front lines doing their thing, and while I'm sitting here throwing baseballs. So now I'm sitting in my house. So they're troopers, man. I respect and support all of them.
Yeah, and then they deserve a pay raise for sure. But
Yes.
I call these babies quarantine babies, and when they grow up, they're gonna be like, "Hey, how did we get born? What?" And the parents are like, "You were a quarantine baby."
Quarantine baby. Yeah. So true, man. So true. I'll tell you who also needs a pay raise is minor league baseball players.
Yeah.
Those guys make $12,000 a year, and that's a joke. I think that's a joke. I think there's salaries out there. These guys have signing bonuses, man, but like you can't pay someone $4 an hour to take that much time out of their day. I just $12,000 is ridiculous.
Yeah, we need to. I don't know how they need to fix that situation quickly.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyways, thanks for having me, man.
No problem. So there it is. That wraps up episode 841 for the NR Hour Sports Show with former MLB pitcher Ty Buttrey. But now him and his wife are doing big things with their business and entrepreneur work. Go follow him on Instagram. He does a great job. Thank you again for coming on the show. This was an inspiring story to share, and I'm definitely going to write an article about this so people know more about your story. And keep up the great work. And we would like to have you back as a returning guest, so you can meet the full team at some point. But keep grinding, keep up the great work. I love what you guys do, and looking forward to what you guys do with your business. And if you guys need help, we will be willing to help your business too. So.
Well, honestly, you guys are authentic and you guys are passionate, and that's ultimately who I want to team up with. I want to team up with people that care. I want to team up with people that are not fake and they're themselves. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. You guys are hustling, working your ass off. So appreciate that offer, and thanks for having me on, man. It's a crazy story, and honestly, I think it's going to get a little bit crazier. So we will see how this unfolds for my wife and I.
Well, once I write that article, I'll send that to you too.
For sure. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.